Hi, and welcome to our Lightning Tools webinar this afternoon on Social Squared. My name is Brett Lonsdale, and I'm going to first of all introduce the company and myself to you before we get going, having a look at Social Squared in SharePoint on-premises, but also you're going to be some of the first people to see the SharePoint Online version under the SharePoint Framework. So we've had the Social Squared add-in available for quite some time now, but this is a completely new version under the SharePoint framework, which is going to be joining our releases later on this year alongside the SharePoint framework version of our Lightning Conductor rollup tool, data viewer, and other components as well. So before we begin, Lightning Tools is a company that is in its 12th year of business. It doesn't seem like that, but yeah, we've been going for 12 years, filling gaps in the Microsoft SharePoint platform. So those gaps range from things like business connectivity services, connectivity. So when we're connecting to different external data sources, Microsoft obviously made it very easy to connect to things like Microsoft SQL, but we, through our BCS MetaMan tool, make it very simple to connect to lots of other data sources as well, including Oracle, Sage Line 50, DB2, you name it, we can connect to lots of different external data sources. We also offer some data visualization as well. So we have our data viewer, which allows you to go through and apply styling to that data. So if you consider the external list and how difficult it is to add styling to that through things like conditional formatting and column formatting, that's what we can provide using the data viewer. So we can connect via business connectivity services, or we can also connect directly to external data sources as well. We've also got the data visualization piece with the charting, so you can provide 2D or 3D charts, whether they're bar charts or pie charts, line charts or variations of all of the above. You can provide that. So it's very easy through our data viewer and also the charting tool to provide dashboards of information based on your external data sources. We also have a Lightning Forms editor, so you can go into any SharePoint list or SharePoint library, and if you consider the new form, the display form, and the edit form, you can use Lightning Forms to change the layout of those forms. You can add different behaviors, so whether it's calculations or um, validation and that sort of thing, and we also get to work with sublists. So if you've got a lookup column from one list to another, you can display that information on the form as though it's a one-to-many join, perhaps in a database. So if you imagine what you used to be able to do with the likes of Microsoft Access with one-to-many relationships, we can do that same sort of thing on a SharePoint list form. We also have our content aggregator, the Lightning Conductor, so you can use that to roll up SharePoint list content from across different site collections, both in SharePoint Online and also SharePoint on-premises. And of course, we have the permissions management tool as well, which provides both site owners, site collection administrators, and also farm administrators or tenant administrators with the ability to report on and also manage SharePoint permissions more easily. So that's the range of products. Obviously, we're going to be diving into Social Squared in more depth in just a moment. So that's our discussion forum tool. So myself, my name's Brett Lonsdale. I founded the company back in 2007. I'm a SharePoint MVP. I'm a book author as well. So most of the books I wrote were around business connectivity services and the business data catalog. I've also contributed to many others, and also I'm a host on techsplaining.net, which is a SharePoint or Office 365 pod show. So alongside my colleagues Rob Foster, Mark Rackley, and Stephanie Donahue, so you can come in and listen to us. Do recordings, discuss technology around the Microsoft platform. So, as far as Lightning Tools, like I say, we're a Microsoft Gold certified partner. We've been around for around about 12 years now. Our code is also certified for best coding practices by a company called Rencor. So they monitor our code and our standards for bug reporting and our help desk, and they certified us for the standards that they saw. Okay, so let's dive into Social Squared. What is Social Squared is obviously one point that we're going to take a look at. Before we jump into that area, I want to discuss some of the sort of common pain points that Social Squared can address. So we'll have a look at those common pain points first, see how they may affect you inside your organization, and then we'll have a look at how Social Squared can overcome some of those pain points. And also, I want to clarify what Social Squared is not as well. So Social Squared is quite often compared with the likes of Yammer and Teams, which are both extremely good products, but they have a different use case. But that's easily confused when you're comparing them feature for feature. It's a little bit like comparing, I guess, Twitter with Facebook. They have different uses, but actually, if you weigh up what they can do, they have the same sort of features. You can both post, you can both reply to posts, you can like, etc. But the actual underlying use case is very different between those two products, and that's also the same with a discussion forum and sort of chat features within Teams or the Yammer type technology. So throughout the webinar today, we're going to be taking a look at each of the different social squared features. Like I say, you'll have a look at it in SharePoint on premises and also the upcoming SharePoint Framework version for SharePoint Online. And also, not just SharePoint Online, SharePoint Online initially, but that is soon going to be evolving into an on-premises version as well, since we have the upcoming support for SharePoint Framework in SharePoint on premises. Okay, so let's look at some of these common pain points that we have inside the organization. I think this is one that everybody can understand is too many emails. It doesn't really matter what scale of the quantity of emails you get. The fact is that everybody gets too many emails, whether they're landing in our junk folder, whether they're landing in our inbox. There's just way too many of them, and throughout the day they cause a distraction. You may be sat there with your phone next to you. Um, you've obviously got the, the the capability of having emails coming directly to your phone, so they can interrupt you throughout the day, and that means that you get distracted from conversations, but you also get distracted from the work that you're trying to do, the deadline that you're trying to meet. And of course, that's a really effective way of communicating. People don't like picking up the phone anymore, but and therefore resort to emails. But one of the challenges is that we're not always the intended recipient of those emails. It might be that we were CC'd inside an email that is loosely related to us, or it's not that important that we read it and act on it now. So that's one issue that we can sort of easily address with social tools. I'm not a believer that email should go away. I think it's absolutely still a fantastic tool for direct communication. But if it's something that's going to be affecting maybe everybody in the organization or a group of people inside the organization, but they don't need to act upon it now, perhaps some form of discussion tool or uh, forum would be a better suit for that. So it's information that will be available to you at a point in time where you want to go and look for that information. So knowledge also is often not shared inside an organization as well. So you have some people that are very outgoing, some other people that are not so outgoing. They're very inward in their thoughts, and those people could have great ideas, but you're afraid to raise their hand or give feedback in company meetings, or get involved or within the team. So this social tools such as Social Squared also provide a platform where those people can be heard. And it may be that you've not got a boss that listens to all of your thoughts all of the time. So this gives a way of everybody inside the organization being able to see your opinions, to be able to see your ideas, and to be able to vote them. And that can't be ignored. If you take, for example, the user voice for Office 365, the SharePoint or Office 365 community has some fantastic ideas out there, which wouldn't have been heard before. They could raise them perhaps with a technical representative from Microsoft on a ticket meeting, but the chances are that idea or that thought is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay with the person that heard it. By posting something that's very public and open, such as user voice, everybody can see that, they can vote it up, and then Microsoft find it more difficult to ignore that request or that idea. They feel compelled to act upon it. And you can have that same kind of interaction inside your organization. So rather than emailing an idea to your boss or chatting to your boss in the hallway, and it going in one ear and out the other, yeah, certainly you could post something centrally and get other employees, other stakeholders behind you in your thought process. So yeah, certainly ideas are shared. Um, they can be encouraged as well by other people, and Social Squared provides an ideal platform to be able to do that. So Social Squared, it's a discussion forum tool. It's often described as an enterprise discussion forum tool since it can involve everybody inside the organization. And it's also structured in a way that information is easy to find. And this is one of the areas where it differs from the likes of Yammer. So Yammer is, like I said, it's a great tool, but it's a different use case. So we can go on vacation for 2 weeks, come back, and unless you've been checking Yammer on your phone through the phone app, then you're going to have a lot of noise to scroll through. There'll be chitter chatter amongst members of the team. There'll be jokes. There'll be announcements that are no longer really announcements because you heard about it through email or something like that. Um, and it's just really a continual thread of noise that you would have to scroll through, and you'd probably have to scroll through a lot of that noise before you came across anything remotely interesting. And when you see something interesting, you may reply to it, but really, that conversation is old. It happened 2 weeks ago, just as you left for your vacation. So Social Squared is a bit different to that. It's structured through forum groups and forums, and those forum groups can represent anything, I guess, inside your organization. It could be a department, it could be a team, it could be a project, it could be an entity such as a building. The forum group can represent anything. So if you have a question to post that's related to the title of that forum group, you would go through and post it somewhere within inside that forum group. And let's just take an example of that. We'll use technology, which hopefully everybody that's on this webinar will be able to adhere to or understand, is around SharePoint. So SharePoint is obviously a technology that's used inside your organization. But we've also got Microsoft Office, and Microsoft Office is made up of Microsoft Excel and Word and all the rest of it. I'm sure you are aware of all the different features of Office. So what we can do is create maybe a sort of knowledge base for using technology inside the organization. So if you happen to use Microsoft Dynamics 365 for CRM, you use SharePoint, you use Microsoft Office, you perhaps use other tools as well, we can create a forum group called software, and then inside that forum group we can have different forums. So one for Excel, one for Word, one for SharePoint, and so on. We can then assign moderators to each forum, and those moderators would typically be subject matter experts within inside those subjects, and anybody can post a question. So if you're struggling in a formula or to build a formula inside Excel, you would navigate to the Excel forum, you would post your question in there, you could post screenshots and so on, and it's open for other people to reply to you. So you may get the guy next to you reply to you. You may get somebody that you've never met before that works across the world in another office, and he replies to you and shows you how to address your issue. And you can then go through and feed that back to others. You can obviously like his reply. You can mark his reply as the answer. So other people get to benefit from that. They realize that you were struggling with a particular formula, but this person inside another office replied with the correct formula that you wanted. So maybe it's a syntax error or whatever. He fixed it for you, and it worked for you. So therefore, you would go through and mark that as answered. So anybody else struggling with the same type of formula will be able to benefit from that as well. So over time, you build up a knowledge base of information, and the way that it's structured means that if I'm looking for help on Excel, I know exactly where to go. I'm not scrolling through Yammer or searching through my emails to see if anybody has asked that question before. I'm literally going to a forum, and I still have the search feature, by the way, but I can search with inside that forum, and everything is going to be mostly related to what it is I'm trying to achieve. So the structure, as mentioned, we've got the forum group. We have forums within inside those forum groups, and then you can create topics, which is could be a question, it could be an announcement, and other people can reply. So collectively, the topic and the replies are also known as posts. So the features that you get in there is also obviously the ability to post, reply to those. You get a full rich text feature, so you can apply styling and formatting and so on to your post. You can drop graphics in their videos, etc. And people will be able to reply to those. You get the ability to rate and like. You get to moderate, and you also get rewarded. So one of the things that we want to do is make sure that we're using this successfully as a platform inside our organization as a knowledge base. So users can post questions, and you as a subject matter expert or a contributor, when you reply, you'll get points for replying, and points make prizes. You'll get badges or pints of beer, whatever it is you want to assign to people for contributing. So that certainly encourages people to get involved with inside the community as well. So as I mentioned, Social Squared is not a private company social networking tool. It's not LinkedIn, it's not Facebook, it's not Twitter, it's not Yammer, but it shares much of the same features as those tools. It is a discussion forum. So if you've been out onto the internet and posted a question yourself, it could literally be anything. Maybe you've purchased a new product and it was missing the instructions. So you Google it or you Bing it, and sure enough, somebody's posted somewhere in a forum that they too were missing instructions, and then somebody's replied with, "Oh, well, here's a link to the instructions online," and you find what you're looking for that way. It could be that you've come across a SharePoint issue in the past. You've searched for the error code, and sure enough, other people have experienced that same error code and they've replied to it, and you find your answer that way. You may be into cooking, and if you're into cooking, if you're into barbecuing, I recently bought myself a new barbecue. I spoilt myself, and I have questions on how to make sure that um, my butt roast is going to be perfect. So yeah, I can go through and search for questions on that, and I may find certain colleagues of mine replying with how to make sure that you get the perfect roast on the particular type of barbecue. So there'll be lots of hints and tips and things like that. So this is the sort of thing that we can glean from um, our own personal lives, but also you can use that inside your organization. Just take, for example, that you've got somebody that's just joined your company, and they want to find out how to book leave, or they want to or they want to know what the company car policy is, or something like that. They could actually navigate through to the human resources forum group and find the information that they're looking for in there, and also again share or contribute on that. So let's take a look at the product. So I'm going to jump into SharePoint on premises first of all. So here's Social Squared in SharePoint on-prem. So it is a web part that you can drop on any page, and you can see the different forum groups that I have created in here. So this is just a simple Contoso example. So around my organization, I have different areas such as the sales team. We've got human resources, R&D, accounts, etc. And we have some different forum groups showing. So we've got just on the top level site here on the Contoso homepage, you can see that I've got some sales discussions. I have personnel, Contoso social, and then if we scroll down, there's also conferences and things like that. So these are the different forum groups, and we can get involved inside the forums, inside these forum groups. So there's under sales discussions, there's direct sales and there's channel sales. So if we're wanting to involve a discussion about directly selling to our customers, then we would go into into the direct sales forum. If we're looking to sell through our partners or reseller program, then you can go through to the channel sales forum and so on. And you can see there's also an area for employee onboarding and things like that, which is under personnel. So you may question, well, why is all of this on the homepage of the Contoso site collection? Well, what we can do with Social Squared is actually have these forum groups be surfaced in lots of different areas throughout SharePoint, which means that you can work contextually with inside your team. So if I was a salesperson and every single day I went to the sales team site, so here we are inside the sales team site, I get to see the sales discussions, Contoso social and conferences. If I drill down into the channel sales team site, I get to see just the sales discussions, and I've also decided to show recent topics and just note the different theme there, so you can apply different themes depending on the site that you're in to Social Squared. So we'll just hit back one and go down to direct sales, and here inside the direct sales, we also have the sales discussions. So you can be working inside your local team site. So maybe you don't really have much reason to go outside of the direct sales team site during your daily working routine, but you have a question about direct sales. So we can go into the direct sales forum and we can go through and add a new topic. And a topic we can post is how do I get better call rates so people don't pick up? What do I do about that? So that's my question, and as you can see, I can apply lots of different formatting and so on to this. I'm going to tag it as well with the word sales and post my topic. So that's been posted, so we can sit and wait for replies. So it's not just going to be seen here inside direct sales. What I'm going to do is actually just navigate across to channel sales. So if we go back to the sales team site, you can see that that post is there. And if I go across to channel sales, the post is there as well. So even though it's posted in the relevant forum, other people that have an interest in that particular forum can still get engaged, even though they may not be working directly with inside your department. Now, of course, that's not a free-for-all. That doesn't mean that everybody can see everything inside Social Squared. You can apply security as well at forum group and also forum level to say who can and cannot see this content. So that's a post that other people can see. If we go in and have a look at the different topics within inside that forum, so we can obviously see that here's the post. There are no replies. There are no view. Sorry, there's one view. Who it was created by, and we can see that there's nobody's rated it yet or liked it or anything like that. Now I just want to show you another view. This is one theme that we have, which is the classic theme of Social Squared. If we go all the way up to the top level site for a moment into the Contoso homepage, you can see that's using a different theme. So here under direct sales, we've got these tiles, so I can see the number of posts, the number of topics. So if we go into direct sales in here, we can visually see more clearly which posts have been answered, which ones haven't, how many views each one's had, and how many replies. So the color will get more intense based on the number of views or the number of replies, as you can see with some of these other ones. So as a subject matter expert, if I'm an experienced salesperson and I can see that there's this post, it's no longer answered, I could come in here on a daily basis and I perhaps need to focus my attention on these ones that haven't been answered rather than these ones that have been answered, because clearly the person who posted those questions is satisfied that they've got the right answer, so it's less important. But if I go into how do I get better call rates, I can go into that and reply to it here. You can see the different icons that we've got, the ability to rate, etc. And again, we can see how that looks differently in the other theme. So we'll go into the classic theme. Go into the how do I get better call rates post, and you can see here that rather than using those icons, we're using text, which is sometimes more clear. It depends what you prefer. So I could reply to that, and I'm just going to reply to myself here rather than switch user accounts and so on. But so here I can go through and address that. So I can say, well, leave voicemail messages, be clear, etc., and a whole bunch of other tips I could put in there, and I could post that. So there's my reply, and what we can also do is reply with a quote as well. So if I click onto the reply with quote, notice how it embeds the message that I'm replying to. So I can say this is a reply to that reply, and that becomes a little bit clearer to anybody that's reading this, whether I was replying to the original topic or whether I was replying to one of the responses. So they can read through that and benefit from it. Um, Now I can also do things like, maybe this was a really compelling idea as to how I could get more calls, so I could mark that as featured, which highlights it, makes it stand out amongst the other posts. So as I'm reading through this, I can say, oh yeah, okay, obviously the person who posted this thought that this is a fantastic idea. Maybe it's not the answer, but it's useful all the same. If I asked a straightforward question like what shape is this, and somebody said, oh, it's a square, I could say, well, yeah, that's absolutely right. I'll mark that as answered, and then other people will benefit from that. So you can see here that it's marked as answered. We can of course edit the post if we created it, or the moderator can edit as well. We can reply with quote, which we've seen. You can also report abuse. So if anybody is posting anything inappropriate inside your organization, you can report that. It will go to the moderator. The moderator can either take down the post, they can amend the post and do what they like with it. You can also post it to your news feed as well. So this is a little bit like sharing, I guess, in Facebook. It's sharing it for something that you're interested in, and so anybody that follows you inside SharePoint will be able to see this post and will be able to obviously be attracted to that and view it. And we've also got likes in here. Some features that aren't showing up because I've disabled them with inside this one is things like voting. So I'll show you how voting can work as well in there. So voting is something that may be more applicable to certain types of forums than others. We can also delete the topic if we have again the permissions to do so. If you're a moderator, you can move the topic. So maybe somebody posts a question about Excel in the Word forum, so that's not ideal. So what we can do as the moderator is just move that across to Excel. It's more likely to be answered there. We can also lock it. So if we're getting too many replies or the replies are getting a bit silly, people are getting carried away, we can lock it and nobody can reply anymore. We can make things sticky, so yeah, let's go ahead and make this one sticky. So that will appear at the top of the forum. We can filter out all the featured posts, so we just focus on the featured posts, and we can also subscribe other users to this as well. So if I click onto subscribe users, I could subscribe a user account here, so I'll subscribe myself, add that subscriber, and that other user will now be notified when people reply to this particular topic. And as that user, you can go through under your email subscriptions and you'll be able to see which ones, which forum subscriptions and topic subscriptions you have, and you can change whether they're going to be notified immediately, daily or weekly digests. So you have full control over that. Now you can also reply to those emails as well. So you'll receive an email to say somebody's commented, here's the comment that they made. You can reply to that directly via your email, and that is in turn going to create reply with inside of Social Squared. So other features that you've got here, you've got the ability to obviously like a post and so on. So we'll give that 4 out of 5. We can chat, so we can see the people that are engaged inside this forum group. So we can um, involve them in instant messaging. So we can send a message to that user. They'll be able to see that when they log on and reply to me. So we've got that functionality as well, obviously with the user presence. We've got notifications too. So if I simply go through, and I'm just going to go and like one of my own posts here. There we go. We can see that the notifications button's gone red, and I can see that system account liked my post. And under forum tools, we've also got the ability to go through and edit our profile. So this is useful to provide a signature so people know who you are, what skills you have, and that sometimes gives a bit of meat to the your replies if you're an expert in the subject. Okay, so that's some of the features that you have inside of Social Squared. If we just go back to direct sales to the forum view, you'll see there's the how do I get better call rates. I made it sticky, so it's now at the top. I can see that it's marked as answered. The little pin there is showing that it's sticky. It contains a featured post, and it's got an average rating of 4 out of 5. So all of that is very visual to somebody just coming in and having a look at this. And we can also filter out things like the unanswered topics as well. So if you're going through and answering these, then you've got the ability to do that. Okay, so that's a kind of quick tour of the front end. Let's have a jump into the SharePoint Framework version before looking at some of the different settings that we've got inside of Social Squared. So this is brand new. This is not yet launched. It's still missing quite a lot of the features, but hopefully you'll be able to see where it's going. So this is built under the newly created SharePoint Framework, and is therefore working with the likes of a modern page inside of SharePoint Online. And as long as you have the app infrastructure in place, you'll also be able to use this in SharePoint 2016 and 2019 when SharePoint Framework is supported there. So this is slightly different. This is around sport. So we've got the FIFA World Cup, Wimbledon tennis, Tour de France, and Formula One as different forum groups. And you can see under the FIFA World Cup, we've got 3 different forums: the England versus Croatia game, the final. France versus Croatia, and Belgium versus England. So we've got the ability to go through, see the topics just like we did before, so I can see the number of replies, the number of views, etc., and add a new topic in there. So it's very similar but more of a modern UI. So here I can say England could have won, and Southgate did a great job, and we have the ability to, like I say, add styling and so on to all of that, and we can go through and add that as a topic and wait for our replies. So similar to what you saw inside of SharePoint on-prem, but yeah, there is Gareth Southgate. We can go through and do things like centrally align or left align the images and work with the properties on that, as well as add styling and so on to our text here. We've got highlights, etc., etc. So that's what it looks like in SharePoint Online through the SharePoint framework. Now, one of the benefits of using the SharePoint framework is the fact that it can support modern pages, which we couldn't do using the SharePoint add-in version, which is currently available. But also the way that this picks up the styling. So notice if I go to change the look with inside my SharePoint team site here, I might decide that I want to change my SharePoint team site to red rather than blue. You can see how Social Squared picks up that styling as well. If we go for the dark yellow theme that you have, again, you can see how all of that is being detected inside of of Social Squared. So it's very easy to pick up your custom branding as well that you may have applied inside of SharePoint. So let's have a look at the back end of SharePoint OnPrem. So if we go into the site settings, we can create new forum groups. Here's the forum groups that I've got created so far. So we can add a brand new forum group. Okay, so we've created that. We get to give that forum group a name. So I'm just going to call this one Lightning Tools Webinars. Let's add that. And if we click onto View Forums, I can add a new forum and we'll name that the Social Squared Webinar. And we'll add the word discuss the Social Squared webinar to that, so people know what they are meant to do with this. And then we can go through and edit the properties of the Social Squared webinar. So we've got obviously the title and description that we can change. We can change where that forum sits inside the forum group. We can choose whether we want voting. So you can vote up and vote down. You can make attachments or you can link to document library items. We can notify the poster if replies. We can allow the featured posts functionality. We've also got the ability to set security as well. And that's not just for using Social Squared through SharePoint directly, but also through the phone app. So you can download the Social Squared phone app to Android or iOS devices, and that gives you a rich interface for also posting, replying to posts, voting, rating, etc. So somebody may have permissions to use Social Squared or this particular forum in SharePoint directly, but maybe we want to turn that off so it's not available on their phone. That could be for GDPR reasons, for example. So we don't want to run the risk of sharing information if that phone goes missing or something like that. So you've got the security that you can set. So we'll click update. That's our new Social Squared webinar forum. So as we go back to, let's go back up to the top level site. And scroll down a little. There's the Lightning Tools Webinars Social Squared webinar all ready for us to begin posting. So some of the settings that we've got, if we go back into site settings, you'll notice there's forum settings under the Social Squared forum. So this applies to everything, and there's a whole bunch of settings here that we can go through in more detail if ever you want a private demo. But I'm just going to scroll down to some of the different gamification features. So notice down here we've got the user reputation that we can switch on or switch off. You can specify your different levels of gamification, how many points you need to earn certain images, badges in other words, and then how many points you get for creating a new post or voting a post or also marking something as answered. So all of that really helps to contribute to towards a successful implementation of Social Squared. So people will receive those badges the more they get engaged with the product. Okay, and you'll also see some other features in here, such as reporting. So we can produce all these different reports. We can see how well Social Squared is performing, how many or how individual forums are performing and things like that, how many abuse postings there's been, and so on and so forth. There's the ability to modify the email templates and things like that. So in here, you can use the different phrases to build out an email, which is the subscription email. So when somebody replies, it sends a copy of the post to you, and you can obviously reply to that and so on. So you can go through and style that using HTML and so on. And with regards to the SharePoint Framework version, so if we wanted to create a new forum, we can go into the forum settings here, add a new forum group. So that forum group could be whatever. Let's put classic car racing in here, and we'll add that. So now we have a new forum group for classic car racing. We can click onto view forums, add a new forum, and we'll have classic F1. And add that as a forum. And again, we can go through and edit some of the settings. So you can see not all of the settings are there yet, but the underlying framework of Social Squared is. Yeah, that's already appeared without a page refresh. We've got the classic car racing forum group and the classic F1 forum that we can now begin to use. Okay, so that is Social Squared. There's obviously a lot more to it, but we can explore those features by offering a trial, or if you want to see a private demonstration, we can arrange that. And just to or just to summarize some of the benefits. So ideas inside your organization get shared more easily. We have remote employees feeling more involved and listened to inside an organization. We can post questions which continue to serve new or existing employees. So it's not a case of like in Yammer where you post a question, somebody might reply to it that day, but after that day it's old news. We don't get to see it anymore in the feed. This is a permanent fixture inside of Social Squared. We're collaborating with encouragement. Information can also be found through the search. Social Squared also, of course, works with the enterprise search as well. So you can search for content either locally inside of Social Squared or through the search site. And Social Squared also helps encourage user adoption of SharePoint as well. So if you can create some nice fun forums, people can start to get engaged with Social Squared. So there is also the mobile users to consider. So if you're out on the road a lot, then there is a mobile app for, like I say, iOS and also Android. So anybody using those two platforms can download the app. There's no additional cost for that, and you get to utilize the same search feature. You can edit your signatures, you can post photos directly from your phone, and so on, all throughout the phone app there. So to summarize, if you want to download a trial of it, there's a QR code. So just simply scan that, and you'll be taken directly to the trial page. We can also set up a SharePoint online site collection with the new SharePoint Framework version if you want to be giving feedback to us on the product and help steer that in a direction that would be suitable for your organization. So just let me know about that one using sales@lightningtools.com. And also you can, like I said, obtain a trial by going to this link or email me. And if you like what you see, please share it. So share the Twitter posts, share it on Facebook and also LinkedIn. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. If you do have any questions, we'll open up for the Q&A now.